I think we're getting to a stage now where, from a business point of view and a marketplace point of view, finding the right audience and targeting the right audience is becoming harder and harder and harder. And ultimately, you're at a stage where, identifiable data has become the key measure for the last 10, 15, 20 years as where you need to go. So ultimately, finding a new way or finding a new understanding of the consumer is where the marketplace is an angle for the marketplace. For us, contextual's been all we've done for 11 years. And we've developed that from being URL analysis in the first instance to multiple signals, any single publisher, any single publishing page. And we've now got to a stage of we've actually taken the next step to that, to understanding the emotion of the consumer at the time of receiving or seeing an ad in the marketplace. Now, that moves along the understanding of how a brand or how an agency can find a different set or a different user and a different mindset at the time.
Mm-hmm. And how does a brand or an ad buyer move from targeting impressions, serving against impressions, to delivering against, dare I say it, emotional availability?
It's an interesting angle. I think the physical way of doing it is obviously working with a brand that leads the market in neuro-contextual. I think I have to say that at Seedtag. I think it's taken the time that we've actually done a study with Columbia University. We've taken the time, we've used EEGs and understanding that consumer at a time of where they are within that process, within their mindset. We're at a stage now, this is December as we record this interview. We're deep in Christmas season at the moment. And every brand in the last sort of 2 to 3 months has been launching their Christmas ads and understanding how to bring joy and bring hope to consumers who are seeing it. And they do it from a creative asset point of view. So why wouldn't you try to understand a brand? Why wouldn't you understand the consumer and their reaction to said creative that you developed, and finding them in the right mindset to actually have an action on the point of that on the point of that creative.
Mm-hmm. And there's clearly a good opportunity there for the brand that you've just outlined. How can all three legs of the stool in this industry partake and benefit from that? Meaning, brands, but agencies and publishers too.
Well, I think I've said to you before, but I think we've got to a stage of where performance has been the thing that's driven our marketplace, and performance in a way doesn't always mean outcome. It may mean price in terms of where they were. So from a publisher point of view, it's allowing brands like us to work with our key publishers globally and understand and evaluate exactly what the emotional output may be for their own content and their own publishing piece, and ultimately build their own data piece. From the brands, it's understanding that consumer better, as I said, and building that story out to find the right user in the right mindset at the right time. And the third wheel of that is actually understanding where that creative is and making sure that you've got brands that spend millions and millions in terms of building their creative for, especially for this time of year, and understanding exactly the creative in the right time, in the right space, with the right mindset of the consumer is where the next stage goes.
For planners moving into 2026, why exactly should they put targeting intention and emotion at the heart of what they do?
Well, I say from an output point of view and things that we've seen already, we understand that there's an uplift of 3.5x of some of the neuro-contextual ads that we've tested in part of that study we did with Columbia University. 3.5x in terms of response rate and brand recall. And because we went through the whole, I would say, electroencephalogy in terms, but I will say EEG, is that we've seen an uptick of 26% in terms of neural activity when you find that user and that consumer in the right mindset. So from a planning point of view, there's your story in terms of ultimately how do you make your creative work better. And the second part of that, though, is we're at a stage now where we're in our own development at Seedtag. And the way that we've been privacy first and created our business as a cookieless business from minute one is that we're now in the open conversations of how do we work in more detail and in more depth with our own data set with agencies and brands. Meaning the fact that we aren't going to sit there and hold everything to ourselves and ultimately be our own walled garden of data. is that we're really open to understanding exactly how we can work better and closer and more openly with partners as we go forward.